All right, Jay. So another week, X-Men '97. Loving it. Different little format change there, which we'll talk about. But let me hear it, man. What'd you think?
I didn't like it.
Which one? Both?
Um, no, the storm stuff was cool. Um, and it seems like it's going to lead to I don't know I only know of like the synopsis of the comic book arc. So I don't know and I don't know really. I mean, obviously she gets her powers back, but like I don't really know what
Right.
happens. So to me, what that looked like was his machine worked. It's just in order for her to get uh her powers back, she's got to hallucinate like one of them fever dreams. You got to fever dream it out. But the Jubilee stuff, my opinion, for me, like the episodes are good. I'm not ever saying that they're bad. I'm saying
Okay.
for me, I didn't really like it because and this is what I had to explain to tomorrow, that what we have to remember that this is still technically a Saturday morning cartoon from 1997.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in your Saturday morning cartoons, you're going to need your your preaching moment, your after school special moment, your moralization moment.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
even though the message overall seems to be directed more towards the 40-year-olds who can't get dry sticks out of their butts, um but that's just what it felt like to me.
Okay.
uh Ultimately, because I wasn't like that. I'll put it to you like this. um in your GI Joes, in your I wouldn't even say He-Mans, but like in your GI Joes, in your, I'm trying to think the other Saturday morning cartoons that moralized to you, but the cartoons that moralized to you back in the day, most of those moralizations, especially for me as a kid, I didn't actually need. I brushed my teeth. I wasn't an asshole or a bully or whatever for
Right
the most
on.
part.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so those episodes were like, yeah, 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 yeah. All right, well, I guess I'll see you next week. And that's kind of how it felt. This or a half of episode kind of felt to me, which was, like, whoa, you got caught into a game. And going back to the old Mojo episodes, those episodes were kind of like filler,
Yeah.
fourth wall breaking moralizations too, which I didn't really enjoy, even though they had a really good point. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, as
Mm-hmm.
far as for me enjoying it, continuity wise, I had just watched Bad Batch, so I had that in
Yeah.
my mind. I wasn't really impressed, but decent episode overall.
Okay. It's funny because I did, think to myself like, okay, I think this is kind of like the weakest episode so far. As far as that first part with Jubilee and all that. And I did think like, is this like anti-video game? And I was, so
Yeah, I didn't get it at first.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that was something that kind of gave me a little bit of pause there. So and filler too. I mean that's kind of the exact thing I thought too. Like, oh, this is like really filler, and I did sour to it a little bit because I'm like, oh fuck, like Rogue lost her powers, like we got all this shit going on. Like, what are we doing with this filler? Not to say that I didn't like it, because there was some really cool Easter eggs and whatnot. So like the thumbnail of this video will show like the uh Motendo, which it looks exactly like a Sega Genesis and
Correct.
has the X-Men Sega Genesis cartridge in it.
Correct.
So I'm
Correct.
like,
I
that's
had that
funny.
game too.
Yeah.
That was nostalgic right there.
So I was like, okay, that's fun. And the fact that and I did think it was a little bit clever, particularly since this is in the 1997 where, right around Mortal Kombat, just, a whole lot of hubbub around video games and the government and shit like that at the time. So to see Mojo like switch over from like movie TV to video games, I
And
thought that
then
was
sucking
cool.
you into the game and making you stuck. I mean, that
Yeah,
probably was a 90s mom's worst nightmare, right?
exactly, exactly. Oh yeah,
You're gonna get sucked into the game and you're gonna get
yeah.
stuck in there. You sit too close. All right.
We got all sorts of bad advice back then, man. Like
Terrible
sometimes,
advice.
like, no, what are you doing? You'll never make any money by like sitting there pressing buttons.
Right.
Oh,
Hmm.
really? You'll never make any
My
money
all-time
playing
favorite,
video games. Oh,
oh, excuse me, my bad. My all-time favorite is turn the light off in the car because we'll get pulled over.
right.
I
Never
have
happened.
I have PTSD from that shit, bro. Because this is before the Game Boy had the backlight,
Yep.
and I remember one time specifically because it happened like almost every single day, but one time specifically, Link's Awakening was one of my first Game Boy games,
Hmm.
and I wasn't really good at it because like my thing about Zelda, even currently right now playing Breath of the Wild for like the 20th time, never getting past the elephant thing, um but I'm gonna do it this time. There's so much stuff that they don't say that you're supposed to know that pisses me off,
Very
but I
cryptic.
still try to play them anyway. And there was one of those situations that happened, and I don't know what I was doing. I think I was just really mad that like I find all these mushrooms and I get all this powder, this magical powder. I can't do anything with it. So like I got another mushroom and I got some more magical powder and I'm standing outside like, oh, here's Link with magical powder. So I'm throwing it around and I finally throw it in the pot. And I
uh,
was like, what? That's what it's for. So then,
right on.
yeah, I wanted to play some more, but here comes my mom. Oh, we gonna get pulled over. We just drove by a cop right now. We just got pulled over. Turn the light off. I keep telling you about that. And as soon as I turned 16, that was the first law that I looked up. And that's not a law.
It's not there.
That's not true at all whatsoever. So
Not
that one's
there.
burned. That one is burned. That
Indeed.
one and the sitting too close to the TV. Yeah.
So that's fun. And like also X-Men Arcade, cameo, which was cool. But here's what I want to know though is when they started that arcade game and they were at the character select, Colossus was on there and some other
Yeah.
characters, like
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, were they also captives of Mojo, past, present, future?
Right.
So
Well, because that's the thing about Mojo. So the even the first time Mojo came around, that shit was out the blue, bro. So like I think that those are filler on
yeah,
purpose. And especially considering that there was something that I had seen that somebody was like, I don't know how they could have ever canceled the show. And then like the original show runner or whatever was like, we didn't get canceled. We ran our contract out. We completed the show.
yeah,
Right. Which means to me, especially when you're basing it when it's not you're not following a manga and you're adding filler, oh, you're just trying to get your contract out. That's what that is. That's definitely what that is. And
yeah.
then you
I
can't
agree.
even I never knew about the I mean I knew because it's like a kid, Saturday morning cartoon, but I didn't know the lengths of their censorship until recently.
Mm,
And so that makes me wonder what the weird people that don't understand X-Men but love it really were watching. What do you think happened to Morph?
yeah.
Oh, did you he went to his grandma's farm and is playing with the cows now.
Right.
That's what Morph is doing. Like if that's your level of
Understanding. Yeah.
why are we letting the stupidest people control the narrative, Don? Why are we doing this?
Well, that's why I try not to. I mean, yeah, we're here on the internet, and every now and then something just kind of comes across my face when I open my browser to go to YouTube, and it annoys you. But yeah, you really shouldn't. Really, it's really the minority. But it is. But
Is
it
it
is what
though?
they is.
Is it though? Is it?
I believe so because
Like I
I
I
know
want to
people.
believe that so much, but I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think it's like when you say a minority, I'm thinking of 49.9%. That's what I'm thinking of when you say minority. Like that type of
Yeah,
minority, like a technical,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I think it's way less than that, but I mean,
All right.
maybe.
48.3. 48.3.
Being generous here. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just, I've never met anybody in real life who cared about any, you know, like my mom and shit, like Marvel movies. Like my mom, that's older than me, like, and they're like, yeah, all this Marvel stuff's great. Like,
Right.
yeah, they get excited about every bit of Star Wars. Like, no one in my immediate circle of family, friends, dorks online actually say, "Oh, you know what, Don? There's too many black people in Star Wars now, and I don't enjoy it." Like,
Well,
it's
so where
just
do you think it's
not.
coming from then?
I think it's coming from disgruntled people, particularly this generation. Really seems to struggle with making connections, particularly with the other sex, and seems to be really bitter about everything the opposite sex does, and so it's just like, I get it. In society, men, in particular white men, are kind of taking a little bit of a some L's because of the power structure, and that's trying to change. And I think people are just taking way, they like doth protest too much about it. Like, yeah, we don't dominate the society. Well, we do. So that's the one thing. Like, if you're really worried about that, what are you really worried about?
Yeah,
um
because that's my follow-up. My follow-up would
yeah.
be I understand the words that you're saying, and as far as like understanding your point and having the conversation move along, you know, I agree with you. But when we actually look at the L's that the, you know, uh, 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 oppressing demographic, I'll say it
Mm-hmm.
like that, is dealing with, they aren't L's. They're just
Really,
not,
right. In the scope of things, exactly. Yes, right.
yeah, it's just like, it's like I'm in training for a new position I have, right? And there was this one training that I had like 130 people in it or whatever. And so if coming from another training that had 23 people, and most of those people don't have the experience that I had, I was able to answer a bunch of questions that they weren't able to answer because I worked in the industry before.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I go to the room that has 133 people and then my voice isn't that strong, did I lose anything?
Right on. Right. Exactly.
I
Not
didn't
really.
lose a damn thing. It's just there's more people in the room now that probably have some experience that I don't.
That's a good
And then on top
analogy.
of that, because I haven't been in this industry for almost 10 years, I'm outdated with the stuff that I know. And some of the things that I was harping on that I sounded oh so right about, I was told you're correct, but that sounds like it was from in the past. And I was like, oh, well, you understand the point that I'm trying to make, though. They're like, yeah, we get what you're trying to make, but, progressive, or, whoever does this and blah, 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 blah. And so is my voice, did my voice get diminished in any way? Did I lose my experience? Am I losing my position now? Am I less of a person? Does my girl love me less because I didn't speak as much in one training that I did in another? No, it's not. So in the same vein, you know, especially getting hit with DEI trainings, it's really interesting to hear. I'm actively pursuing people who are against, like, equality and fairness. Like, if you're
Yeah, but they'll
against
never
that,
frame it like that, though. That's not. They'll never.
oh, I'm but then that makes my whole point. So then bringing it back to X-Men and comics and Star Wars and whatever, what are you talking about? I don't even know. And how do you have people who agree with you when I don't even know what you're talking? I'm trying so hard to understand what you're talking about, and I'm playing your game, and
Right.
because everybody says, "Oh, I'm not racist, so it's not about black people." Okay, sure. Based off of what you're saying, let me take that out of it. What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about. Now, when you put the black and you put the woman and you put the whatever, the LGBT, whatever, gay people, whatever into it, now it makes a little more sense, and you sound like a bigot, and I shouldn't listen to you at all because your opinion doesn't matter at that point. You're just hateful. But if that's not what you're saying, what are you saying? And if what you're saying is I don't understand X-Men, then say that and be quiet instead of destroying and poisoning the narrative, making Disney think that they're doing something wrong. No, Disney, you're fine. Just because you don't make $1 billion every single time doesn't mean that you're off the deep end. You're fine. Star Wars is fine. MCU is fine outside of Jonathan Majors, but realistically, you probably should
Yeah.
just bring him back at this point. Probably because you fucking your shit up. You will fuck your shit up if you don't bring him back, or someone like him. But you know you're fine. You know, even the funniest thing about it is if there is the wokest show out of the bunch that we watch, do you know which one it is?
To me, it'd be, I guess, X-Men.
Okay, outside of X-Men, take X-Men out because that
Okay.
is literally the wokest show of all.
Okay. Then
I don't
it's,
know
to
the
me, it's
shows that we
Star
watch. Which
Wars.
is the wokest show that we watch?
To me, it's Bad Batch.
Nah, Invincible.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You're right. I should have thought that.
Don't
Yeah.
nobody say shit about that. Why? Because there's blood. You see
Yeah.
how weird? You see how weird this is? This is weird. Invincible is literally the wokest show of all of them, besides the X-Men. It's woke. Yeah, gay people. You got women running stuff. You got murdering colonizers repenting. You got murdering colonizers. It's the wokest show ever, and y'all don't say nothing. Why? Like, do you not see what the show is?
That is
No,
interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
media literacy. I don't know. I don't know, man.
That really
Trying to
is
figure it out.
interesting. You think it's because just of the violence? Hmm.
Do I think it because of the what?
Do you think just because of the violence that they don't say nothing, or that they just enjoy it so
Oh,
much, or it's animated? Like, really? Like, why?
oh no. I think it's the violence. I think the violence and not understanding Nolan's character.
Hmm.
Because when you don't understand Nolan's character is big man with abs who smash people. But that's not what Nolan's character is. Or Mark's, or his mom's, or Eve's, or
Yeah.
Rex.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it should be clear though. I mean, if they've watched everything, because like, spoiler alert for Invincible if you haven't seen it, but like, Nolan is anti-Viltrumite actually. And
Yeah.
he's just not coming to grips with it well, but he had all this work, these books dedicated to like teaching
He was
Mark. And
snitching.
yeah, like, no, this is how you take us out. I just wonder.
Right.
Such an interesting show, and I'm not a violent. I don't like the violent parts, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't either.
But it's still
I mean,
interesting enough
some
that
of
I
it is
get through it.
necessary. Like, I appreciate the violence in Invincible because there's stakes.
Right.
Like, Spider-Man gonna be all right. Like, damn, Spider-Man, you done went through 3 walls, a ceiling, metal pipe, and got impaled.
Right.
See you next week. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
a
Right
little
on.
bit of stakes. And granted, with those stakes, still there's technically no stakes, which is I think was great writing. There's still stakes. You know what I mean? So I get where the violence is coming from, but again, I don't know. I guess people are just watching colors. It's kind of like, so we hang out with one of our friends that has a 1-year-old, and I've done this even with my own kids. I sit there and I just watch them watching things,
Hmm.
and especially when they're able to speak. Like, what did you like about that? What do you like about this show? What are you watching? They'll be like, oh, I'm watching cartoons. No, 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 no. Like, what are you watching in the cartoons? And I don't really know how to articulate it. And so, I mean, I haven't done this at least for my boys since they were like little. But I think that was, I mean, that's how I would read books to them too. We'd be reading and I do voices. I remember at one time I was doing Percy Jackson and I was doing one of the gods or whatever. And I
Right
was
on.
talking like this. And my kids were like, I was like, all right, voiceover. What just happened? What was the guy talking about? And then my oldest would be like, I can't remember the plot, but he was trying to do this, 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 to this. All right, good. And then I'll go to my youngest, and then so what do you think is gonna happen next? And he's like, you're gonna fight him and da da da. I'm like, yep, all right, let's go to the next page. And then we go to the next page, and that's how I'm getting them to get into uh understanding what's being told to them while also being entertaining. But yeah, I really think that they just see lights, colors, and boom boom pow and are satisfied, which sure, but it's like this. I'm a basketball guy, right? I try my hardest not to do this, but it just usually ends up happening anyway. Go to the bar, you're sitting there chilling, you're watching sports, somebody has the literal dumbest take you've ever heard in your entire life, and I personally will be like, yeah. Tomorrow I'll be like, what's wrong with you? Like, I can't, I gotta say something. But eventually, for whatever reason, especially because I'm like watching the game, the conversation will eventually come to me. And then I get to go back and be like, listen, bro, just watch the game because you don't know what you're talking about. I see you see them dribbling the ball and ball going hoop, but there's a lot more that's happening than that. So if you just understand ball going hoop, stay on that level. Just because everything else you're saying just makes absolutely no sense. And that's where we got that. I think that's what needs to happen. Like it doesn't need to be so adversarial, but people who know things need to like put their foot down. And I'm not just saying like know things, because there was this one X-Men video that I had seen that had made the point about what do you do about the guy who is a big, huge comic book fan and whatever, and they'll be able to tell you what issue someone switched their costume in, but then they won't be able to explain to you Scott's character arc.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like those type of people, like, oh, back in issue 473, that's when they took the mask off and started wearing a helmet. You know what I mean? Like, cool, great, but who is this character? He shoot laser out his eyes.
Right. They don't have any of the nuance of,
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess I will go to someone else who may be able to answer my question.
Right.
That's not what I was looking for. And then, hopefully to be a positive loop after that. But that's what I'm saying, man. I'm lost. I just don't understand how one show that is more woke than another show, and to be honest with you, is lost. It's not lost. I know where they're going, but like it seems lost.
You mean like in where it's
And then you have these
going?
other ones, huh?
What do you mean lost? What do you mean?
Like I know
Invincible?
where it's going. I know where Invincible is going.
Okay.
But if you watch, especially it coming back from the mid-season break, it feels lost. Like I know where they're going, but like in the comic,
So I don't know a lot about that
the
comic at all.
the action points, because I read up until about this point. So, but I know it happens like way later on down the line. I just didn't read it. But the comic was just like pow 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 pow. I mean, it have its story building points, but the comic feels the way the show does, but all the time. So when the show gets like really intense, you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
That's how the comic is basically like the whole way through. So I know where it's going, but then knowing what they're like building up, to me it seems lost. They've been dealing with Mark and his girlfriend for like 3-5 episodes.
Yeah.
Like break up already, or whatever you're gonna
Right,
do.
yeah, we're done here. Yeah.
The Eve Rex Mark triangle,
Yeah.
like do something about that. Do something. I had to wait 3 months for this next episode anyway. Do something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Still great show though.
Yep.
But like you have all these shows like this, but then on the other end of the spectrum, which hopefully we'll talk about soon, you got Bad Batch that's doing what it's doing, which connected like 8 things at one time in one episode. Even though they showed two, and then just the Marvel movies and like all this other stuff like that. They're like it's telling a huge, really big story, and some parts are stronger than the others, and some characters are stronger than the others, and some are going to make $1 billion, and some are only going to make a couple hundred million. But
Yeah.
that's okay because when we get the 40 DVD double box set for the Infinity Saga, the Multiverse Saga, and we watch them shits all together again, we're gonna be like, this was the greatest movie franchise idea ever in the history of movies. But then we go and we look at the news in 2024, it's a woman in it. Oh my god! Like,
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Super
yeah,
ridiculous. I don't get why people want to steal their own happiness. I really don't. I just don't get
no
that
man
part of the
does.
world, buddy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, we're definitely going to talk about Bad Batch. I mean, as far as X-Men goes, I just thought it was weird that we got like 2 episodes in one. Like we
Right.
literally, because we're
They
talking
just
about
did
them.
2 episodes.
Yeah, they just did 2 episodes. They were 15 minutes each. And yeah, again, the first one, I agree, mostly filler outside of Jubilee getting her like Rasengan Shuriken attack that she learned from her older self in the Mojo verse, which, yeah. So at least Jubilee did get an upgrade out of the filler episode. I mean, it remains to be seen if she'll still use it after that. But after that, we get a Storm and Forge. Actually, it's gonna have multiple parts. This is part one of what was it called,
Yeah.
Unlife or something like that.
How many
And
parts do you? I think it was called. Was it Life Death or Death
Life
Death
Death. There
Life?
you go. Life Death, I
Yeah, I think it
think.
was Life
Life Death
Death.
part one.
How many parts do you think there'll be?
I'm I really have no way of telling. I mean, because obviously the way they really are, and people are even complaining about this really, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but people are really complaining about like the streamlined nature of these stories. But I mean, that's really the way you got to do it if you want to capture a major audience like this. You can't, be that convoluted.
Did they
And
not watch the original X-Men cartoon?
yeah, I
Like it's
mean,
all streamlined.
yeah, as
Magneto
it
was
should
episode
be.
2.
Yeah. I mean, as it should be. I mean, if you're
The
gonna,
whole story of Magneto episode 2 halfway to 3. Like, what are we talking about?
yeah, they did the Dark Phoenix shit in like 4 episodes,
Right.
which should have been like 8 or could have been like 8, but it is what it
Could
is.
have been a
They
whole
got
damn season.
people don't have long attention spans, so not it's just people want to deep dive and be right about headcanon. It just seems to frustrate them. But nonetheless, so we did get the with that filler, we got the so obviously Forge is going to, or probably already has restored Storm's power. We see their little romance. Um, but the big reveal, the big beef that they develop is the fact that Forge is kind of responsible for the anti-mutant power shit that eventually took Storm's powers. So there's that dynamic. And on top of that, they get attacked by the adversary, which is like um, a demon that Forge kind of should know how to fight, but Forge rejected. He's a Cheyenne Native American tribe, and he's supposed to be the shaman, but he like rejected those ways to go do the American government shit. And it's all really convoluted, but so that's going to be a thing. Um, but again, the adversary in this particular story, not like super well known. And I'm actually really surprised that they went at it this way. I like it. I like it. Uh,
You
because
putting it that way makes me more interested in it. I mean, I'm interested in it regardless because I want to see how
Yeah.
Storm gets her powers back, and I'm probably gonna look into what really happened in the comics a little bit more, just for myself. But um, you putting it that way, because I didn't know. I thought that, like, because they said the adversary, but I didn't know that that was their name. I thought that, like, they
Mm.
were saying, like, I'm your adversary. Like, oh, okay, so she's hallucinating, and
Okay.
she probably having an ayahuasca, uh,
Right on.
you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
fever dream, and she's gonna puke it out and get her soul or her conscious back in her body, and then she's gonna be the ice queen again, the forecast queen, I should say.
Yeah. Give him the forecast. So yeah, there's that. So I am interested in that.
Okay,
I do think that is a cool dynamic. And but interesting of note, I mean, really between the two episodes, though, we didn't get like the whole team ensemble boom boom pow, so kind of breaks that trope a
that
little
was the
bit,
first one. Yeah,
which is okay. They
I mean
don't.
there was boom boom pow, but
There was,
yeah.
but not full team boom boom pow, which is
So
awesome, but doesn't have to be
I
every episode.
the theme of them using their powers, I think, is that um this animation crew is a lot more, well, and they have a lot more money too. But this animation crew is a lot more creative
Yeah.
and a lot more funded. So it's interesting to see the more stationary characters use their power to be more mobile. When Scott did that in episode 1, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And then you know, Digijubes, uh she was doing it too, like she was like rollerblading, looked like she was
Yeah.
rollerblading. And so I thought that was pretty cool.
That really is. Yeah. I love the way this is animated. And yeah, they are very creative.
And thinking of Digijubes got me my other critique of the show. So I have to suspend my reality on this,
Hmm.
but it's hard because I can hear it. Um, Rogue's voice actress sounds her age,
Mm.
not Rogue's age, the voice
Right.
actress age.
Which
So
is, yeah.
Rogue sounds 60. Um, Gambit sounds 60. And so it's interesting that, and this has happened in other shows too, but the original voice actress for Jubilee gave up her role, even though they were like bringing people back,
Hmm.
because she wanted the character to be voiced by an Asian American rather than just regular white chick. Which all power to on that one.
Hmm.
I think, especially when it comes to animation, they should do that a lot more. But and mainly for animation, I understand why they didn't for animation. But I think that what should happen is they should, I wouldn't say do it less in live action, but like have more original people of color characters for live action. But since we are nostalgia baiting ourselves all the damn
Hmm.
time,
Yep.
um, and we want to have our old properties or whatever reflect today, that makes it a little tough because some of them characters just really weren't that, or it doesn't fit for how we are as a society. That type of character doesn't fit that character, da da
Hmm.
da da da. But in the case where she's given up her spot to make it more realistic, I think that's cool. And then to bring her back in an episode, which ultimately I think that's the whole reason for the episode, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
is to be
Yeah.
like, hey, we appreciate you for giving up your spot. We'll give you one episode where you get to do it one more time, and then you get digijubed away. But I thought that was pretty cool. But now, like I said, I can't unhear how old
Mm.
the other characters that are supposed to be young sound. So I mean, like, I'm not trying to be ageist in any way, shape, or form whatsoever, but and I understand why they wanted to bring it back because they wanted to have like that cohesive, one to one.
Well, that
We got
was one
old
of
people backfield,
Feige's
but
2 conditions, so that's on
when you
Feige.
separate that shit 30 years, my G, Lord have mercy.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't disagree. It's cool to have the originals back. And I can suspend disbelief, but again, yeah, that comes on Feige's shoulders, and you're the first person I hear say that, so we'll see if that.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely suspend the reality. I'm not sitting
Yeah,
here saying that, it went woke going broke because you got these old people doing voices. No, I'm not saying
right.
that. I'm just saying that like I was I got into it too deep because I literally had just watched Bad Batch and I was in too deep. So I'm starting off X-Men with this filler too deep. And I'm sitting here and Rogue sits down and she was doing a little. I can't do it, but she was, how she does like that high pitched
Yeah.
sugar, like all that man, and it just came out like, and I was just like, ooh, that don't sound like Rogue though, because I literally was
Yeah.
just watching the '97 one not too long ago, so I remember what they sound like. So
Stark
watch
contrast.
first episode of X-Men, the animated show, and then watch the first episode of X-Men '97. You will hear that shit. Maybe you shouldn't, because maybe you'll unhear it like I can't.
Yeah.
But I am able to suspend reality. I'm just saying, if there's anything of note, since I don't want to sit here and fanboy it all the way.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the episode, and I really didn't like the episode because I can picture I'm seeing the voice actress instead of Rogue.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess we'll talk about something that hopefully you liked a little bit better. But before I do, transitioning to Star Wars, going back to the Motendo episode, do you remember the guys that they showed on Genosha Island, like the slave? They looked like Boba Fett. The guys that were like had the
Yeah, I was. Oh, I wish I would. I was thinking in my head, I need to write notes because as soon as we got to that part, Mara was like, "Why Boba Fett up in here?" I was like, "Oh, I got to remember that for the show," and I completely fucking forgot. So
yeah,
I'm glad that you brought that back up.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally. I
Boba
was like,
Boba Fett is in MCU canon.
okay. I'm glad I'm
We
not the
got a new
only
clone
one.
army.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Good. All right. All right. So Bad Batch. Um.
Yes.
2 episodes that I watched.
Mm.
Um. But yeah, big stuff going on. So as always, I guess before we get in the nitty gritty here, what was your impressions of the 2 new episodes?
So this season has kind of conditioned us slash me that whenever they're doing 2 episodes, they want you to see two sides of a situation that's happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that when season 3 started. I think they did that uh, 6, 7 episodes ago at this point in the middle. And they're doing it again. And I enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed the second one because I didn't know what was going to happen a little bit more than the first one. But the first one was good because what it shows is I think the doctor is starting to get it. And everybody is trying to say that Omega and whatever are Ray's mom. Like I think it's a little more generations than that. I think that the doctor is the one doctor in Mandalorian's mom, the doctor who's doing the cloning. And he was like, "My mom died for
Pershing.
this research." Da da da. I can't remember his name. The
Yeah.
weird the beady eye guy with the glasses and
Yeah, I think it's
what's
Dr.
her face
Pershing.
over actress girl. I can't remember her name. She overacts too damn much. But
The
when she turned the
mind machine
torture,
over, yeah.
yeah, that guy. I think I think that the doctor that's in charge now, I can't remember her name. I think that is his mom. She breaks away from all this, falls in love, has a kid, still continuing to clone shit. They get found out. He starts working for the Empire because he gets found out. Da 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 da. But that's obviously what 15, 20 years in the future, which is kind of
Yeah.
where we are. Um, but yeah, I think the episodes were good and are setting up for a pretty hard hitting finale. I don't know how many episodes there are supposed to be, but whatever whenever this finale is coming, or whatever's coming in this finale, I should say, is going to be pretty major and has to literally connect everything together because there aren't very many loose ends outside of Omega.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, so you talk about the doctor potentially kind of understanding, what's going on because in these episodes we see what's in the vault and it basically contains children that have a high end count. And they actually get a new delivery, a new child is delivered to them. And yeah, enter, Cad Bane. So Cad Bane is obviously making money, capturing these M count children and delivering them to the Empire and Project Necromancer, where they're basically kept in prison. Very sad state of affairs, but this is so we're definitely getting some like Clone Wars All Stars in this show and in
Yeah.
this season with Asajj Ventress. Now we've got Cad Bane is in the mix. So I was actually surprised by that. Of course, I don't pre-research episodes much because I don't particularly want to be spoiled. But yeah, very very surprised there. Um, of course, by the end of the two episodes, things aren't looking so bright. They've lost their ship. Rekka is hurt. Uh,
Rekka.
Rekka, Batcha, Hunter.
And
Um, Go ahead.
for anyone that thinks, and this would be great if I ever argue with someone or debate someone, there being a alien dog is the stupidest fucking thing in the whole show. Don't get me wrong, I love Batcher. Batcher, she's the goodest girl. Um, but it's stupid. It's really dumb. Why is there a dog alien who like knows when to be quiet?
Yeah,
Like, come on, bro.
completely
But
domesticated for no reason.
right. But I mean, maybe that's Omega's force powers. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I
Until
definitely.
until it gets explained to me, Batcher's dumb, even though I love her.
Okay. I definitely think that is a show of Omega's affinity for animals through the Force. I do
Yeah.
definitely think that. But you're right that those dots, they haven't been connected yet. So outside of that, then so that the main baddie, I guess, the main assassin guy, right? That's Tech, right? Tech's been reprogrammed.
Oh, that's what I've been guessing for the last what
Yeah,
4 weeks, 3-4 weeks now. It's got to be. It's. So here's what's giving it away to me. Um, well, these episodes,
yeah,
when he went to the planet, forgot what it was called. Sorry. Um, he masked his ship and took the alarm off of the other ship from his ship. Who do
huh,
that? Who do
right.
that?
Yeah.
If you listen to his voice, he sounds like Crosshair
Yes, I agree.
with a
Absolutely.
modulator.
Yes.
And so the reason why I think that they're trying to throw the Crosshair with a modulator to throw you off is because it's actually Tech who didn't actually die and they caught him and he's probably all cyborg and all this shit like Echo and has been brainwashed to do what they want. That's what I think. And I think that Omega's going to figure it out before they get to Tantus and that's going to be a whole thing. That's my guess. If I were to predict, but I like where it's going.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Looks like 15 episodes for season 3.
15?
So,
Okay.
we still got a little bit to go, which is always
I'm
nice.
trying to find this damn doctor, bro. What's her name?
The clone doctor?
Yeah. Oh, Amir Carr.
Yes, Amir. That
That's her name?
absolutely rings a bell.
N- yeah, yeah. I, yeah, Dr. Carr. Clone, and then what was that dude from Mandalorian? Maybe it's right in front of our face and we don't even know. Cast season 3. Beady eyed little rat looking boy. Where'd he go? There he is. Oh, Dr. Pershing.
Okay, I did remember that one then. All right.
But, they could have different names
Yeah.
because it is space and a galaxy far, 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 far away.
Long, long time ago. Yeah.
So, I
This
mean,
show is
we're
too
obviously talking
good.
about Omega.
Yeah.
What's that?
The show's too good. I just don't think the show like gets enough acclaim, and it's kind of annoying. It
I don't.
really is like integral. Yeah.
What do
As
you
far
mean?
as just as far as understanding like everything that's going on with the clones go through, and again that that whole somehow Palpatine returned, to see like Tarkin is personally at least trying to get involved with this. But like dudes having to go back for funding, like this is a major, major fucking thing with the Empire. And or just looking at I know we talk about all the time like all the people that walk around with the empire flags. I've seen people with fucking empire tattoos, and then you look at an episode like this, and to me all these two episodes are kind of blending into one, but you see like the empire is like willing to like just take children and treat them as items, just for the sake of like experiments and shit and easily disposed of. um it just it really I don't know. It's there on Disney Plus. It's not costing anyone extra money. I know it's animation. I know because believe me, I'm married to someone that's a major barrier in animation shit. um but it's just good. It's just way too bad. It's good shit.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I literally was thinking every time they do anything, that's literally the first thing that I think of. Um, because like I don't know, even from a merchandising standpoint, like I, I would wear a Cobra Commander shirt ironically
Yeah.
because they're the bad guys. Why would I want to wear the bad guys?
Yeah, or like the
Remember, you lose every
Decepticons.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, I want to wear a Megatron shirt. Like, the Megatron shirt was really cool. Like, maybe, but even then, like, what am I saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why would I want to buy? Why would I buy this shirt when, especially for how much shirts cost nowadays? Why would I buy this shirt when I could just buy a shirt that, if it's gonna represent something, represents more of myself. Now, I mean, unless people are space fascists, sure, get the fuck away from me. But
Right on.
um, um, I don't think that's what, because I'll put it to you like this. Mars friend likes Darth Vader, and she likes Darth Vader because he looks cool. And then like that was the first initial thing that she knew, like, oh, Star Wars, Darth Vader. But then we watched it, and then she understood who Darth Vader, and we watched it in release order. So she's like, oh damn, like Darth Vader's a bad guy. But then we got to the prequels, and she's like, oh wait, Darth Vader's Anakin. So I
Yeah.
like Darth Vader. And that's kind of like my reasoning, because again, like we always say, he never actually redeemed himself, but in canon, he technically redeemed himself. So I'm just go with canon because that's what the canon is. He redeemed himself. So that's why I like Darth Vader too. So if there's any dark side person. I like Vader and Gideon, to be honest with you. But outside of that, I don't fuck with these dudes. I don't want no stormtrooper shit. And the only stormtrooper shit that I have are floor mats. Because every time me and Mara get in the car, we
Right on.
stepping on a stormtrooper's head. Um, um, I wouldn't get a Death Star bumper sticker. What planet I'm about to blow up?
Right.
You want to be a planet blow upper? I'm confused on.
Yeah, you
I don't understand that.
planet blower
Like,
upper.
did you
Yeah.
not watch this? That's like me watching Dunkirk and coming out going, like,
Right. Yeah.
did I not understand this movie? No, Dunkirk's World War One, Pearl Harbor. How about that?
Right
So
on.
even World War One, with Dunkirk, I don't know. It's just really dumb. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get it.
World War One is
But
stupid, but yeah.
yeah, that's the dumbest war. That's one of the dumbest wars.
It's-
The one we get into next is gonna be just as bad, but
yeah,
World War One definitely was the dumbest war
it
of all
was.
time. I remember I remember how the reason why World War One and Two stick so well into my mind. One is because I had like a punk rock history teacher
Okay.
who was like 31,
Okay.
31, 32 whenever when she was
Youngin.
teaching. So she was like the cool punk rock teacher or whatever. So
Yeah.
I had my attention there. Um, but it was hilarious how when we were doing World War One, we started off with all the alliances. And before she even because I forgot which part of the history we had just got done. But then we came in and we know that we're about to do the new era or whatever. And there was like lines and it just looked like lines all over the board. She's like, I'm about to confuse the hell out of you guys today. And we're like, what? First off, she said hell. Secondly, and then when she broke down the alliance system, I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn everything about this war because this is too stupid to have actually have happened. It's
Yeah.
too stupid. But no, alas,
Goddamn
we are the
France.
descendants.
Damn France Ferdinand.
Oh man, that's just
Uh,
crazy.
it is. It is. War is crazy. Um,
Well,
but hey,
what do you think? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say, what do you think is gonna end up happening with Dr. Carr? Do you think that she's gonna end up turning like Omega? Especially when Omega gets back there? If Omega gets back there,
Mhm.
well, she would have to because um, Crosshair didn't hit the tracker, which was so very sad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, what do you think? What do you think the character arc for Dr. Carr is going to end up being these next few episodes?
Well, I mean, I definitely, with them showing her trying to use the names of the specimens, although everybody else is just using the serial numbers, trying to prevent that clone commando from shooting the kid when he was getting agitated and trying to escape. So I definitely see where in her arc, she's softening up and maybe starting to question the process and potentially her loyalties. I can definitely see that. I do have an instinctual feeling though that she's not gonna make it out though. I'm seeing a sacrifice on her part in order to protect her or get Omega, potentially Omega and the other kids out of there, get them all out of the hands of Project Necromancer and hopefully set it back. I think it's a pretty optimistic view, though, of what's going to happen. Because again, me and you, we've always alluded that the conclusion of this series is, probably not going to be for the faint of heart. So,
It's
um,
not going to be good.
so I do see that character progression where she is kind of being deprogrammed in a sense. But at the end of the day, though, I just don't. I don't know. I don't see it ending well for her. I'm seeing a sacrifice for the sake of Omega and possibly the other specimens.
Right.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
I think
seeing.
there's going to be because obviously what's his name? Um
Yeah, I've been trying to think of that
Hemlock.
dude. The Hemlock. There you go. Thank you. I've been trying
Hemlock.
to think of that for the
Um,
past 15 minutes.
right. Obviously, something bad's gonna happen to Hemlock as he deserves.
Yeah.
And I think that part of what ends up happening to Hemlock is Tarkin and the
Mm.
Empire eating itself. Tarkin wants the Death Star. Wait, yeah, yeah, we're before New Hope. So Tarkin wants the Death Star. That's what he's upset about. What do you mean I don't got no funds?
Yeah.
What you mean I got no funds? I'm doing your secret project, boy. What you mean I got no funds? You got another secret project? What's this about? Oh, you ain't gonna tell me? Bet.
Yeah, you're
That's what
right.
that was. That's literally what that was. That's how I read that whole scene. The whole scene was, hey fam, I was at the Senate today, and they say I ain't got no money to do my project, which is a secret project for the Emperor. Oh, well, I'm doing a secret project for the Emperor. What you doing? Don't worry about it.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, Hemlock. You must not know who I'm here.
I think that's a perfect illustration yeah, which again is how great the writing is because you're starting to see that. But yeah, with Tarkin and how much power he was able to amass leading up to A New Hope, where he's basically telling Vader what the fuck to do. That I definitely see that. I could see that being part of the process. Him even potentially taking over Project Necromancer because we know that it succeeds in one way, shape, or form. Now we don't know if it's now or until the actual prequels.
So, do you know who also is doing his thing during this time period too? If I'm not mistaken,
I mean, outside
Thrawn.
of Thrawn, yeah,
Thrawn is finding out about. Damn! Wow, that just pow pow.
yeah.
First Thrawn book. The big plot line in that was Thrawn piecing together that the Death Star is being made,
Right on.
and uh, um, the reason why the reason why the Bad Batch, I'm not the Bad Batch, the rebels who from Star Wars rebels, what was their planet? Something with
Lothan,
an L.
Lothan.
Lothan, yes. Um, there was some political bullshit that was happening on Lothan that led Thrawn there to trap rebels, but trapping the rebels exposed imperial corruption,
Mm-hmm.
which then connected what he was finding out and Lothan to the Death Star. And then what Hera and them are dealing with, the attack that Thrawn did to trick find out about what is going on, the Bad Batch and Omega and the clone situation stuff is going on too. On top of no, Mandalorian is 20
Way
20
after.
something
Yeah.
after this. Yeah. So I guess that what all this leads to is the um force baby market
Right.
was being created during this time period.
Inquisitors and shit.
Yeah. hmm Yeah. So I need to find a timeline to prove this, but if I'm not mistaken, we are before Rebels because Rebels is right before Episode 4,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we're before Episode 4, but before the Death Star was made. So we're like at that exact time period, which should line up.
Well, before it was complete, but yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, G timeline, canon timeline. Let me
Yeah,
see.
no, I definitely agree though. It's gonna be Bad Batch Rebels. Clone Wars Bad Batch Rebels.
Right, they're gonna kind of bleed into each other.
Yeah.
Because didn't we already see? No, that was in Clone Wars. Never mind. It's like didn't we already see Hera? But that was when she was a baby in Clone Wars.
Yeah, she's a baby in Clone Wars, Rebels, and
But we
then
did see
Mandalorian.
Kanan at the beginning of Bad Batch.
Did we?
He was the Padawan they didn't kill.
Oh, I'll have to.
That was Kanan.
I almost forgot about that. Okay,
Mm-hmm,
nice.
mm-hmm. So I think so. To me, when Bad Batch came out, and because the first episode was Order 66, and so it took probably until the end of that first season, but um um uh when Kanan explains Order 66 to Ezra, it had the same kind of scenery as Bad Batch. So I thought that they were going to connect to each other regardless, but they already have. The what's her name sisters, the little Mexican, the Hispanic girls, whatever. I mean, they're not
Was
Mexican.
Wanda Sykes one of them? Is that what you're talking about?
No, no. There was the two sisters that fucked with Ahsoka in season 7. So season 7, she goes down to Coruscant, like the underground, and then she meets the two sisters and does the mission with them. And then while she's doing the mission with them, that's when Order 66 happened and Anakin went to the dark side. Like as all that
Yeah,
was happening.
yeah. The older sister was voiced by Wanda Sykes.
Was it?
That's what I'm remembering. Because yeah,
Oh,
who
I
was in
didn't.
this last episode of Bad Batch?
Right, right. So yeah, man, it's just all coming together, and I enjoy, and that's why, when it comes to people complaining about the acolyte and like all this other stuff, what are you watching? I don't understand. Like what it's being shown. We complain. I'm of the generation. We are of the generation that had to wait. I mean, it wasn't too long, but had to wait until we were I was 12. I had to wait till I was 12 to see new Star Wars. And I first started watching Star Wars when I was like, what, 7, 6, 7. So even though it wasn't 30 for like everybody else, or 20 something like everybody else, that saw it when it originally came out, it was still a long gap. There was
Yeah,
still holes. And the only thing that we got at the time was episode 1, which didn't fill any hole besides us seeing Anakin as a baby and other Sith, right? And Palpatine when pre-scars.
hmm
But outside of that, it didn't really do anything, right? Episode 2 did a little bit more. Episode 3 did a lot more. Clone Wars did even more. So then, to me, again, looking back at it, and this is the my point about the sequel trilogy. Looking back at what they did with the sequel trilogy, I think the sequel trilogy was a vehicle to then fill in the rest of the other holes of the Skywalker saga. That if you look at it from, and I've said this before, but if you look at it from, I guess the first Skywalker saga canon book would be either Plagueis or Dooku. From then to Rise of the Skywalker, everything was controlled by Palpatine. So it should be the Palpatine saga. But
yeah. I
yeah,
totally agree.
it's just amazing storytelling over 40 years. That I saw a comment today. I remember watching Star Wars in the movie theaters when I was 6, and it got my interest in the sci-fi. Now I don't even know what this is. Da 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 da. So I've used this example many times, and I'm gonna use it one more time again. When I was about 6, outside of Star Wars, maybe I was a little bit older, but outside of Star Wars, my favorite movie in the entire world, there was no movie better than this. I almost disowned my mom because she almost didn't want me to go see it in movie theaters because she thought it was too violent. Three Ninjas. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I
That's the
do
shittiest movie I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, Don.
remember.
It's the shittiest movie I've ever seen. It
It
is
is.
terrible. You some grown ass men getting beat up by 8-year-olds. What is wrong with y'all? You this whole crime organization, you just getting beat up by 3. Balls ain't even dropped yet.
Yeah.
Boy ain't even got no deep voice. He over here messing it up with the girl that he liked in the movie in the damn first, or maybe that was the second one. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They all mixed together, all shitty. I thought that was the greatest movie of all time. You want to know why? Because I had no media literacy at all whatsoever. So if you looked at this when you were 6 and you can't see where it's at today, you're stuck at 6 with lightsaber and pew pew. That's all you think Star Wars is. That's not what it is. It never was from the beginning, from the get-go. Wars are political. What is the politics over? Now, the politics may not 100% completely be something that you recognize or understand, but it's not your universe. It's not supposed to have a one-to-one,
Right.
oh, well, 1999, you can see that this is the part in Star Wars where they... No, that's not what they do. This is a universe with its own politics and its own arguments and its
own physics.
Own physics. Right.
Yep.
So, you got to get in with the world that it's trying to present to you. And in this world, women were Jedi and women were Sith and women were force users. And I don't think that they have the same concept of race outside of human and Ryloth and
Right.
not Ryloth, but Tortuga and Wookiee and all that kind of stuff like that. So for you to be like, what, black human? They don't have that concept because it's human or whatever the fuck Yoda is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
never named.
Those are the quote unquote racial issues. And then, even then, you can look at an empire and realize, oh, they don't even fuck with the aliens. This probably is saying something about something else. Or saying, even if in order for it to make sense to you fictionally, right? Let's use some nonfiction. If you're an army in a world that has all these different types of creatures, and you're a galactic empire that controls the whole galaxy, and you only see one type of creature, that's called space fascism.
Right.
So if you need to use other historical points to get that point, cool. But what that is that universe's main problem. That's it. So you look at their politics. They had economic politics. So Generation Tech is good with this. Now, Alan pisses me off sometimes because he does the same thing Stupendous Wave does, where especially when he inadvertently has to speak political because the one-to-one is just like too easy to not make that point. I understand what he's not trying to like alienate his audience, but you don't have to be like factually and politically ignorant to make your point. Just be like, yeah, I know there's a lot of politics going on. We're not going to get into that, but this is what this looks like. Moving on. Da 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 da. But he always has to act like, oh, United States is good. Like, no, we're not always good, Alan. So you ruined your point there. But I like when he breaks down really minute detail type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was this one video of the economics. Well, how we could, view and map out Palpatine's galactic economic plan and how terrible it was. And how he was just hemorrhaging money and all this other stuff like that, which ultimately wasn't really his thing because money is just a concept. He doesn't have the concept. He's got the force, da 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 da.
Right.
But you can see for the people that were living in this universe, the economy matters, shipping matters, commerce matters. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff like that. So if you are give me a regular character, the mechanic on Tatooine that Din goes to see all the time.
Oh yeah, I don't know her name. Yeah, but she's like she reminds me of Ripley from Aliens a little bit.
Yeah, right. So how the economy and how the rulings that the Senate would demand, or how Palpatine or Tatooine would maneuver, would hurt, hinder or bloom her business, her livelihood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would, and that matters on who's going to be on the Empire side, who's going to be on the rebels or the separatists or whatever, the whatever side. These are the things that you got to kind of understand, because if you don't, then you're not going to understand Saw Gerrera. You're not going to understand Luthen Rael. You're not going to understand Andor. You're not going to understand
Well, you're not gonna
Jyn Erso.
understand how like blockade of trade routes is actually a big fucking deal. Like if you blockade one of the
Right.
fucking hyperspace lanes, you could potentially fuck hundreds of systems because they can't get
Right.
certain supplies that they need and aren't native to the system.
Right.
So I know people
And you
shit on
can
that
you,
line
you
all the
saw
time.
and you saw what that looked like in Solo.
Yeah.
That's what led to the Kessel Run, Imperial blockade, because they heard some. Well, I mean, granted, they started a robot revolution, so I guess some cops had to come,
Right.
But he went on the Kessel Run because he was blocked, and what was he gonna do? Now, if you're not stealing spice and you're not starting a robot revolution in a Pike ran mine, this blockade is inconvenient and could probably kill you or your planet. Not even with weapons, but through starvation and pest.
Mm-hmm.
What am I trying to say? Starvation and exposure, like all other kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
The Ryloth episode of um
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. Yeah, that's
Yep.
literally what
That's a
that
good
was.
example. Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, politics matters, and especially when you're watching a Clone Wars, that show is so political. It's not even funny. But then you can see how things turn, and you can see where, oh shit, the banking clan's fucked up, the trade federation's fucked up, the separatists maybe not actually that bad, and what they see is the republic turning into the empire 30 years before it did, or 20 years before it did, or however many
Yeah.
years before it did. So what did you miss when you were 6? Commenter guy, because that's where this rant came from. What did you miss when you were 6? Everything? Oh, okay. So now that you're like 40, 55, it's gotta be, you know what I mean? If you were
Right.
6 in 1977, so 71, you're what, 53? So now that you're 53, you don't have any upgrade of your media consumption. You're just gonna remember what it was when you were 6, or you're gonna watch Three Ninjas again and realize how the fuck, how there was 3 of them. It's just 3, and
Yeah.
the smallest one was like 3 foot tall. Like he barely even spoke. He was just like, yeah, and you're like, ah, stupidest fucking movie. I understand my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's anything that I ever want to apologize for, it was
Complaining
when I
they're
was in love with Three Ninjas. How I behaved.
right on.
Oh man.
Yeah, boy, good stuff. It's thinking back how like I originally came upon Star Wars. My grandmother actually took me to the theater to see the last one, Return of the Jedi. But I was only 2 years
Mhm.
old at the time, so I wouldn't be quiet. We got kicked out. Um, but then what she did is she would like rent them from the local video store, and she
Yeah.
had 2 VCRs so she could play and record. And so
Yeah.
she used to make all sorts of tapes like that. And I would
Oh yeah.
literally, I just, with my childhood and stuff, like I was basically always trying to be at my grandma's as much as possible. And I would just watch that shit over and over and
Oh yeah.
over, every fucking detail. Um, and you're right, like when you're talking about like the gap. I mean, because the gap from like then as a little kid to 1999 when a new movie finally came out after it was basically swore up and down it would never happen, but here it goes. they're re-releasing an updated version of the original trilogies in theaters. Then we're gonna get the fucking Phantom Menace. Like before all that shit happened, all we had was like some video game shit and some books. Like Dash Rendar and shit in the Shadows of the Empire, Prince Zixor. Like we had a little bit of that in books and video games and shit.
Nintendo 64 game. What was that one?
Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, that was, okay.
Yeah, Shadows of the Empire. Like
Fucking hated tried to beat Boba Fett, bro. Little bitch ass.
Yeah. But yeah, fuck, like not only do we get like new set of fucking trilogies every, I don't know, 7-8 years or whatever, but we get these shows and I know it's such a great time to be a Star Wars fan. So
everything we've ever wanted, and all they do is just complain.
Fucking it up, man. Yeah. Well, no, you're not fucking it up because it's still great, but yeah, you're just remember back in the day where like it didn't matter what comic book you enjoyed. You just you read comics? Oh, I read comics. What comics do you read? Oh, you read that comic? Hey, can I ask you some questions about this character? Yeah. No, you want to know about the X-Men? Yeah. Now we just complain, and we're here to stand against that.
I mean, and again, like there's a place for the complaints. Like it's okay if you're media illiterate. It's okay if you don't understand what you watch. It's okay that you make content exposing that you don't understand what you watch. I guess the real issue that I have and that we have is that type of content is incentivized. And it's to the where I don't believe that. So you were saying that it's a minority. And so the reason why I think that there's more than the minority number that you're thinking of is because another case in point. Caitlin Clark is not the best women's basketball player on the court right now. She's not the player of the year right now. Now she got voted that, and she's got the awards and whatever because of her draw and her pull and 12.3 million people watching Final Four and all that kind of stuff like that. Cool. But I'm a basketball guy. She's not a complete player. She's 2015 Steph Curry. 2015 Steph Curry could not play defense. The reason why the Cleveland Cavaliers beat them in 2016 is because no one could guard Bron and Kyrie Irving at the same time. The person that they would put on Kyrie was actually the person that they need to put on LeBron, but they have to put someone on Kyrie because Steph can't. He was a liability on the floor. He was weak. His ankles were terrible. Up until before 2016, he only had a few dribble moves. The only thing that he was able to do was something that nobody was expecting, was shoot all these damn threes in an era where that just wasn't the thing yet.
Right.
So I say all that to say that with the normalization of Caitlin Clark being the best basketball player, we're not actually looking at the ones that are the best, like Paige Bueckers and Juju Watkins and Malaysia full Wiley or something like that. Hannah Hidalgo. I mean Cameron Brink, even from Stanford. There's all these women out here that are Angel. How could I forget about Angel? All these ballers that have complete games, that do more than shoot logo threes, that do more than dribble, drive, and layup. That's her whole game. Oh, and complain to the refs when she's up by 30 because she didn't get a call.
Right on.
So when you normalize that, and now you have girls, which is great. I love seeing girls and women play sports and do things that are commonly not for them. I love it, right? What I'm not gonna like to see, especially because I'm thinking of coaching, what I'm not gonna want to see is these little fucks shooting fucking logo shots. You ain't even 4 foot tall yet.
Yeah.
What are you shooting logo shots for? Oh, because Caitlin do it? So just because it's hyped doesn't mean that it's the best representation. But since it's the only representation that we really see, that's what we think that we're supposed to do. That's why the 3-point game, that's why they say Steph revolutionized the game, is because Steph had all these liabilities, but where we couldn't stop Steph was him shooting his three. Why are you shooting from over there, bro? This is the lowest percentage shot
Right.
in the game. Now, granted, you made it a high for his skill set. He made it a high percentage shot. Cool, great, all that good stuff. The thing about Steph Curry though is he changed his game up. He fixed his weaknesses. That's what I hope Caitlin Clark does, right? So let's use that in the Star Wars media sense, right? When you normalize shitty hot takes, and by normalizing, I mean incentivizing, and by
Hmm.
incentivizing, millions of fucking dollars these little fucks get, or tens of thousands
Yeah.
of dollars a month, these little fucks get on YouTube and Twitch and whatever, to be to expose their ignorance online or grift and not even believe what they say for the money. Either way, we're having terrible conversations about properties that we love, because now we're letting the people that don't even understand the property get to dictate how we're supposed to feel about it, which doesn't really make any sense. And that's why I like to throw in the things that I don't like and like little stuff here and there, because I have to go that deep in order to actually find things. Because
Yeah.
when we understand what's going on, we understand why Palpatine is doing what he's doing. We understand what Dr. Kerr might switch up with. We don't know where Omega's at, so we're hanging on by the edge of our seat. We want to see what's going on instead of complaining there's a woman on my screen.
Right on.
There's a black person on my screen, or something that I didn't. I mean, I'm a guy that has said weird things about characters and cartoons and before, but I didn't really know, this is a new thing that I found out. I didn't really know that people will determine if they like a show by if they would have sex with the leading character or not.
Hmm. That's
It's a new thing that I've started to see.
wow.
That like
I was not
it was
aware.
it was a Hassan one actually, and he was talking about something, and a throwaway comment that popped up that I think he looked at but then like glossed over, but I saw, and then I saw it pop up because I'm weird when I watch Hassan. I like watch his chat, like I kind of watch it as it
Yeah.
goes, and there was a whole bunch of people that were saying, um, Rogue's not fuckable now, and like and other characters are just, oh, I couldn't have sex with her, or I wouldn't have sex with her. That's what you're basing your characters off of? Like, don't get me wrong, you know,
That
I'll
is
take a Carrie Fisher in 1977 any day.
sure. Sure. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Shit, I'll take a Jamie Lee Curtis right now.
But hey,
I'm
but
not judging.
I like Optimus Prime. I don't want to fuck him. Like,
Yeah, right. So I'm confused. So are they exposing how they feel about male characters? Are they upset that Ray took over because they wanted to have sex with Luke? I don't understand. I don't understand.
yeah.
So why don't we just talk about the lore? Why don't we talk about how cool it'll be when we finally figure out what the fuck Yoda's species is? Why don't we? You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't think we will ever find that out. I mean, right back
Do you think
there.
that's just gonna be like the thing that they just hold on to? That's like the one
Yeah,
thing.
I'm telling you, like I got these Star Wars multiple editions of Star Wars pen and paper table RPG that like list like famous characters, what their species was, all that, tell you how many levels they had of each fucking class. But in
Right.
every edition, you look at Yoda and it just says Yoda. It doesn't say Leia Organa Skywalker human female. It doesn't say Greedo male roadie. You know what I'm saying? Like it just says Yoda, species unknown, throughout multiple editions of a very detailed rule set. It's like a thing. Like we'll never know what that species is.
I don't know, man. It's weird because I could I could I could let them get away with that if there wasn't three of them.
Three, there's because we're talking about right Grogu, Yaddle, Yoda. There's
There's another one.
Varus from KOTOR, which we actually got good
Oh
news about.
yeah, how could I forget about that, dude?
Which we actually got good
Because
news
I
about.
watched that game be played. I didn't play it. That's why. That's probably why.
Okay.
That makes sense. And then I'm pretty sure that there's going to be someone in the High Republic too.
That may actually just be Yoda, but yeah, we'll see.
Really?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
still around.
All
I
right.
mean,
All
he's
right.
around. Yeah. Yep. Or
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
him and or
So
Yaddle.
so we got 4 then.
4 that I can immediately think of. Yeah,
We
Grogu,
gotta give them a
Yaddle,
name,
Yoda,
man.
and Varus.
We gotta give them we gotta get the species.
And I don't know. It's kind of a thing. It's kind of a
So
thing.
where did they get Grogu? He was just floating in the
Okay. I
floating in the
actually
hyperspace lane.
I have a theory about where exactly Grogu came from. You want to hear it? It's
Okay.
crazy. It's
Yes.
crazy.
Let's go. Let's go.
So remember in Revenge of the Sith when he's fighting Palpatine and his nail just scrapes as he's falling. Like I on God,
Wait, who?
Yoda and
Yoda.
Palpatine
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
fighting.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry.
thinking of Anakin for whatever reason. I'm
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
okay. Yeah, when they're fighting and he gets knocked off of that, Senate pew or whatever you call it, and you see where he
Yeah.
just scratches across and then he falls.
Yeah.
On God, I bet you they got a little something from that scratch area and cloned his ass.
So you think Grogu's a clone?
I think Grogu's a clone of Yoda.
Holy fucking shit.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. That can't. Cause no.
Okay,
He
yeah, it
was
couldn't have.
around
It couldn't have.
before that. He was
He
around
was around
before
before
that.
that. He was around
I
before that. He was
forgot.
around before that. But I think your theory may still stand in another way.
Okay.
It's
How
got to. Where are they from, bro?
yeah.
It's got to stand.
As far as getting cloned and shit. Yeah.
It's got to stand because realistically, where did Palpatine truly get the idea? Here's one. How if Yoda was around during the Acolyte time period,
Mm-hmm.
how does he not know that they're Sith? They about to destroy Yoda. Unless, bro, you gotta just say where Yoda's at, or you're gonna destroy Yoda. Star Wars. You're about to make Yoda. I mean, Yoda kind of realistically, the only reason why we like Yoda is because he's short and green. Yoda ain't shit. Let's think about this. Let's break this down.
Well,
Yoda ran the Jedi Council, well, not the whole time, but for over 500 years.
right. And he admittedly cannot sense the Sith. He's already said as much, and we already see that. On top of that,
You can or you don't want to.
well, that's an interesting question because we learn in both Sarkovsky's Clone Wars, and I think they even touched upon this, which is fucking canon, by the way. And they
Yeah,
did touch on this on the other Clone Wars series. Yoda fucking knew Anakin was gonna turn. He knew what the fuck he was gonna do. He knew that shit, and he didn't even stop it. He didn't even act worried about it. Like he didn't know every little detail. He didn't know about Palpatine or nothing, but he knew Anakin was going to the dark side and going to do horrible shit.
So that leads to 2 more questions. One, like kind of like theory questions. Do you so at that point I think that based off of what you're saying there that that him finding out from Qui-Gon how to become a Force ghost, I think that was the other part of it, the other straw.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happened during the Acolyte is something that scarred him. I think with the Acolyte, so this is why I wish people would just shut the fuck up and stop losing their mind over
Yeah.
trailers. We don't know what the show is about at all. We know that it's a Padawan and the flip, but yeah, that's what everyone's about. So, but we don't know what it's about. We don't know what happens, but we do know that there's a big ass battle during that time period, and some bullshit happens that Yoda is in charge of. So, do you think he just got disillusioned and realized that in order for in order for what in in order for what the normies consider the light side of the force
Mm-hmm.
is just balance, and the only way to get balance is to purge the light, because the light can't go away because the force will always balance itself, but without the um space Jehovah's Witnesses, uh that one got me as soon as I said it,
Yeah.
especially knowing my own history.
Right.
But uh without them, you can have balance, because I spent 500 years turning people into the dark side. Realistically, that's what it is. I
Mm-hmm.
spent 500 years turning every really powerful force user that I've ever met to the dark side, except for Obi-Wan.
Right. Yeah.
They either died or went to the dark side. Every super powerful, because the Inquisitors are really super powerful Jedi that the Emperor didn't even want to kill.
I don't know if they're
So
super powerful. I think they're stunted a little bit, actually. I don't. I think they're
by
Padawan
whom?
low.
Who was
Vader.
in charge?
Well, of the
No, but no, they're stunted before Vader and them come around. In order for you to turn, you're already there.
right, right,
You
right,
don't just wake up one day like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm robbing a bank today. No, you're already
right.
there, and then
Yeah, you've been
that's the
thinking
thing you
about it.
decide to do. You know what I'm saying? So Anakin, obviously, like he already was there. Um, old girl from Obi-Wan, she could have been a powerful Jedi. Obviously, this one from Acolyte like didn't cut it in their ways, the way that they do things,
Well, yeah,
but
like
could have been a powerful.
yeah, well, yeah. You telling me throughout the hundreds, the thousands a year, the Jedi, like Ahsoka, only happened once. Like, come on, she got kicked out of the Jedi Order, and did anybody like arrest her or no?
Who
She got
ultimately made that decision?
well, the Jedi or the Council, right?
Who runs the council?
Yoda, and well, and Mace Windu, but yes, he's the Grand Master.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, what I think ultimately, especially when you look at it like force wise, I think what the story is trying
S-
to tell us
Sith and
is
fallen Jedi are two different things. I guess is maybe something they don't understand when they're like, "Oh, they're not supposed to know about the Sith. This is bullcrap." Just want to throw that out there.
I agree, because you have what's his name? Uh
Tyrannus, Dooku,
Asajj's husband.
Saj's husband. Yeah,
I don't know if that's canon, but she got hair.
right.
Where do we even see that story from? Was that a comic story?
I think
Or
so.
was that a book? Yeah. But anyway, regardless, um, um, I would say that he would be considered like
Mm-hmm.
a fallen Jedi. But the Inquisitors were Sith.
I get that.
I mean, sure, you got the rule of two, but I mean,
Well, that's why they're not.
if
That's
Hitler
why they're
said if
not
Hitler said there can only
officially
be two
Sith.
Nazis, but I see 15,000 motherfuckers with Nazi uniform on, y'all Nazis.
Well, there can only be two Nazis, but you can string other people along into thinking they may be Nazis one day. Is more.
Okay, I give you that, because you could be force sensitive but not be a Jedi. So
Yeah.
all right, I'll give you that.
And that's really kind of the middle ground, or at least the ambiguity that the sequel trilogies are really trying to introduce and get us used to, is
Right.
just the gray areas that the light and the dark exist, but more coexist.
I think there's two things. So we could use the Asajj Ventress episode to literally highlight where Star Wars is at and where they're going. Right? You could look. That episode encapsulated it. So you have Anakin, aka Omega, trying to be found out if she's a Jedi from Obi-Wan, aka
Hmm.
Asajj, and we know where that whole story went or came from and will end up, right? Especially seeing Rise of the Skywalker. But um, what the Asajj Ventress episode was also about was okay, yeah, this bitch is force sensitive, but you gonna train her? Who gonna train her?
Right.
Y'all?
I'm not doing
Who gonna train me? Hell no, I ain't about to do shit. Uh,
it.
well, I'm trying to get caught, so you supposed to have me out here. I finally get away from these weirdos, and you try to bring these dudes right back at me. Where Ahsoka at?
Yeah.
Oh, she over on the other universe, or actually, where is she right now?
At this time,
Oh, she's not even born.
no, she is absolutely.
She's a baby. Then she's a Padawan.
No, this is after Clone Wars, before New Hope.
What am I thinking? You're right. You're right. You're right.
So
So
yeah,
Ahsoka's like,
she's chilling. We don't even know honestly right now exactly what's
right.
going
That's
down.
true. That's true. She out there doing whatever. Right. So that's my point. Who's gonna train her? So the real issue with Omega, and there was in this latest episode when she took her helmet off. I thought she had a tracker in there, but she took her
Me
helmet
too.
off, and then it was funny because Mara was like, "Where's she gonna put this tracker?" And I'm like, "She's a girl. She's she got places."
Yeah,
But they weren't gonna do that, so
right.
I didn't even say nothing. But when she like took a deep breath, I thought she was like force meditating.
Yeah, I did too. Actually, I thought there was going to be some sort of battle meditation
But I think,
mass.
but the reason why I got that was because Crosshair missed the tracker, so her force meditating probably would Asajj or
Yeah,
Ahsoka or Luke maybe. Oh wait, no,
no, not
he's
yet.
definitely not
Yeah.
born. He's definitely not born.
Well, no, he's
But that
born. He's born,
you
but
get what
he's a
I'm trying to
baby.
say.
But yeah,
Right, you get what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so without balance,
Kelleran
it's not
Beck.
gonna matter if someone like Omega has the Force or not. One, because I think she's gonna die, but um um the biggest issue with the Jedi was they were right, but episode 2, Padme broke all the holes into it, and Anakin making all these fucking weird justifications for it just proved to me, like, why are you making these weird technical justifications just to live your life?
Hmm.
And we clearly see that the holding back of Anakin's emotions and not letting him express them and not letting him feel them and not letting them feel it, except for fucking Conehead face and
Yeah.
Dooku. The two shittiest Jedi y'all ever had, y'all let them do whatever the fuck they wanted to. But then the greatest one of all time that ends up destroying you all, you don't let motherfucker do shit, even though he does it right in front of
Right.
your face. It's just all these things that if Anakin was actually able to love and be able to protect, would he have seen? Would he have been able to listen to Padme? Would he have been able to listen to Obi-Wan? Would he have been able to ignore Palpatine? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Um, Yoda was 900 years old, so literally almost everything he fucking saw. Uh, you know what I mean? Like these things showed from the then in Rise of the Skywalker. Fuck these books. Fuck the books. Fuck the Jedi Order. Like he's telling you, the Jedi Order was the part that was fucked up. Luke said the Jedi Order was the part that the fuck the Jedi. Kylo said, "Let old things die.
Hmm.
Make it build it anew." And with it being built anew, you know what being super good looks like. It's not good at all. And you know what being super bad looks like. It's not good at all. So balance. what that looks like, and what societies that could build. And that's why, realistically, it's tough because I can't think as detailed as a lot of writers can, but I think that's where the new legends should be until they say, all right, all this shit's done, Disney bought it, and they're continuing on. The new legends should be what the universe looks like after Rise of Skywalker. Now you could have your nihilists that take it back to like a Mad Max type of shit. You could have your utopian people like me that want it to be good. You have your dystopian people that can make it be super whatever. It's not going to matter. It's fan fiction anyway. But like that's where, instead of complaining about seeing black people and women and gay people or whatever in Star Wars, make your new canon. It's gonna sound stupid based off of the ideas that some of these people have, but do that. I'd rather hear your fan fiction. I'd rather hear where you think the universe is going to go and is where at after Rise of the Skywalker than you continuously tell me the same stupid things that I'm not seeing in Rise of the Skywalker no more. All the complaints that I had, I don't see them really too much anymore. Besides the pacing, besides like movie stuff. But as far as plot and themes and canon and timeline and what that all says and shows, I'm not complaining about that anymore. Somehow Palpatine returned. Rey is the new Luke, if you will, the big bad, the big good, or whatever the fuck. That's just what it is. Okay? Now what's next?
Yeah, we'll see that.
Let's do what's next.
We'll see that. She'll get her own trilogy.
I'm with it. I
Yeah.
don't want to see Daisy Ridley in the damn silver screen again. Man. They keep giving her. So I don't understand, and maybe because I'm not really into like movies, and so I haven't seen some of the other ones. I kind of saw the one with she was in with Tom Holland, but I fell asleep.
I've never seen her in any other movies.
She's been in a few others,
But
and
I'm not
what
a
I don't
movie person
understand,
either.
what I don't understand about, I guess, like casting is Daisy reminds me of Daphne Keene in Logan. When I saw that little girl, I mean, she's not a little girl anymore, but when I saw that little girl in Logan, just the trailers, I haven't seen Logan until like 2 weeks ago. But when I saw her in the trailers and I saw like some audition tape stuff,
Mm-hmm.
this is a fucking actress, bro. At like 8. The face control, the emotions, the man, just an amazing actress at 8 years old, right?
Yeah.
We haven't really seen her in much, which is crazy. I mean, she's going to be in Star Wars, but like that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense to me. Out of all these movies that could act, that would serve a strong female lead that can actually act, you got a Daphne Keane. And you got a Daisy Ridley, bro. Why we ignoring Daisy Ridley, bro? Because
I hope she's not getting the Star Wars, anti-rub, that like
what does that mean? I don't
hated
understand.
Christian. Yeah, it's hard to define. I guess you can only point to examples like, the kid that played little Anakin, Jacob Lloyd.
Oh, that kid. Yeah. That kid got
Up
fucked
until
up.
recently,
The fans
hating
did that though.
that exactly. That's like, unfortunately, the thing about
Oh, I see what you're saying.
there, people
you're
get
saying that you
abuse.
hope.
I mean,
Yeah. You hope that she didn't get abused so much that she doesn't want to act no more. And
so right. So you never know.
I
I
mean,
mean, it happens.
that's true.
But honestly,
Like
that's
how
another.
they even. Don't get me wrong. In 1999, I was thrown off by uh precocious Anakin, my damn self. I mean, but I guess he was precocious. So what are you gonna do? He flew a pod racer as a human, as a 9-year-old. So I'm pretty sure he's talks a little bit different than 9-year-olds. Anyway, so but I mean, but it seemed like it was overacting. Like I get what they were trying to
Yeah.
do to bring it back, but they probably could have got another act. But that's who baby Anakin was. personally, it took me a minute to get used to Christian's voice. Because yes, master, I'll try harder, master. Like it's like Christian, what you doing? But looking at it now, doing like all the movie analysis that I've done, I think whoever directed him to behave that way was genius because you
That'd be
got to think.
Lucas.
Well, yeah, probably right. Um, because he he's this precocious kid that had, I mean, he was a slave, but he had freedom to tinker and do whatever. You know what I mean? Then he gets put into Space Jehovah's Witnesses and has to uh uh regress his personality. So it comes out as, yes, master, I'll try harder, master. Okay, master. What about that time that I saved you, master?
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns into, I slaughtered him like animal. So yeah, it's genius. So people just watch and love, and let's talk
Yeah.
about lore. Let's make fan fiction. Let's connect things in the timeline. Let's stop talking about there's a vagina in my Star Wars, because you want vagina in your Star Wars. You
Preferably.
do. It's the same people that are like, oh, no girls appreciate that I play games. And then you got a girl that's like, I play games. Like, you stupid bitch. What is wrong with you guys? Y'all weird.
Yeah.
You got the
It
girl that want to
is.
play
It's
games and then you kick her off your what? Shit. Whenever I heard girls on my Call of Duty, I added them to the party. You feel me?
that's true. Had an
Yeah.
ex-wife that played World of Warcraft, and like dudes are sending her $100 mouses and shit. But it's
Oh, I mean, yeah. Then you got the Simps too. So
yeah.
you got to balance. It's Star Wars teaching lessons in life. You
Yeah.
got to
If you
balance.
pay
You
attention.
got to balance how you react when you hear a girl's voice in your voice chat. You got to balance. You add her to
See.
the party. You make her feel welcome, not too welcome because that's gonna be creepy. You can't be an asshole because she's not gonna join the party. It's balance. And then if you're a decent person and that's the goal that you were trying to get, she's probably gonna, I mean, unless she's got her own situation, she's probably gonna be like, hey, you were a nice person and you've been welcoming and you seem nice and da 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 da. And then hopefully that's what your actual real personality is. So if you guys were to meet and do whatever, you can go far. But you guys are assholes. So that's why you ain't got no girls. It's not because girls play video games, it's not because booby streamers play video games, it's not because booby streamers are on Twitch, it's not because any of that. It's because you're a dick and your breath stinks and nobody wants to deal with that. So yeah.
All right. There you have it. If you've made it to this far in the video, please help us work against that hate algorithm, right? The hate algorithm
Yeah.
that pumps up everybody else. And
Or bring the hate algorithm in the comment section
there we go.
so I can unhate the algorithm
There you go.
or
Like,
however that went.
also like and subscribe, all that jazz. But
Hmm.
yeah, there we
Hmm.
have it. Until next time, see you next on the Mega Level Nerds.